Well, got done telling you about this Union General Francis P. Blair Jr. And very next signal I got.
In the heart of the American South, history grows from the roots of tobacco fields and cotton plantations. From colonial ambition to a land shaped by revolution. Southern patriots fought fiercely in the War for Independence. In 1812, Southern ports became battlegrounds as war returned to the American shores. But it was the Civil War that scorched the soul of the South. From Charleston's first cannon blast to the burning of Atlanta to the surrender at Appomattox. The South remembers not just the battles, but the legacy they left behind.
Good morning. So we're back out here in the new permission where you saw in the last video that I dug up some Confederate stuff and bullets and, you know, some buckles and, you know, just all kinds of cool little things. So we're back out here in those woods again today, and it's a rainy day, trying to stay dry, you know, according to the weather, sometime between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. Well, you know, it's supposed to stop raining. You know how the weather goes. You can just pretty well look at the sky and figure it out probably better than most weathermen can anyway. Anyhow, we got our first signal of the day out here in the woods, and I'm on my way back to where I was finding all that stuff before, and parked at a different spot and just more or less doing a beeline straight back to that same area. And just out here just swinging, not really, you know, gridding or anything, just swinging as I walk back there, and got a first well, actually it's my second signal. The other one was a piece of trash. I didn't even bother recording it. But here we've got our first good signal, and once it popped out the hole, it was pretty easy to spot because it was just laying there. So we got a definitely Civil War bullet. Let's see. It is Richmond Labs, another Confederate bullet. So we got a Richmond Labs. So that's the fourth or fifth different style Confederate bullet that we found out here. So that's good. You know, hopefully be some more. This was dropped, but you know, hopefully we'll you know, let me turn it back around. Hopefully we'll get onto some Union stuff as well. But as long as we're finding Confederate stuff, that gives me hope, though, that you know, got to find a button at some point, right? Maybe even get lucky enough to find a buckle or something. But definitely hope to find a button today. That's kind of the goal. Hey, I'll keep taking the lead as long as I'm finding, you know, Civil War relics. Then we know that, you know, we're in the area where troops were. So, you know, at some point, something else other than lead's got to come up, of course. Last week, I talked about Lafayette, General Lafayette McLaw and General Johnson Haygood. This week here on this video, I'll talk more on the Union side of the generals and kind of give you, mosquitoes are already out, kind of give you some history on them for being in this area. Part of the 15th and 17th Corps. So stay tuned for the next one, and again for some more history lessons. All right, well, found another piece of lead. Ain't a real big one, but it's definitely the same thing that I found last week, or well, 2 weeks ago. Well, what it is, it's another little 38 cal pistol ball. So another piece of lead. That's a good thing. And not too far from where I just found that Richmond Labs, actually. So, and another piece of lead, which I'm not quite sure what it is, was in that hole there. I'll show that at the wrap up. But there you go, another piece of Civil War ammunition, 38 cal pistol ball. All right, after finding a bunch of 12 Georges And there's a ton of them out here. Like I said, the owner of the property, he turkey hunts and his son deer hunts. So I've actually only got about 2 more weeks of coming out here, and then that'll be it for 4 weeks. That's when he comes out and turkey hunts, and he doesn't want anybody out here. And like I said before, I don't want to get shot anyway. But like I said, after finding all that, a couple things of trash, finally found a good signal and got it out in the hole. And I don't know what it is, but it's definitely lead of some sort. I believe, well, like I said, he turkey hunts and he and his son deer hunts. So I believe that's modern. I'll have to clean it up, double check, but pretty sure that is modern. Look at the size of that thing. That's a heck of a slug, ain't it? Well, the streak is finally broken. You know, after finding all those Confederate bullets and whatnot. So right now, this is the area where I found that what I thought at first was a sling buckle, and I do have it marked on my last video as a sling buckle, but it was actually a suspender buckle. So what I'm thinking, so I'm on kind of a hilltop right now, and it's definitely flat up here, and just right down here is the river. So I'm thinking this is maybe where they had camped out at. If I had to guess and say, probably Confederates, because that's what I'm finding most of. However, so just finally got the first Union bullet, a drop 3-ringer. So they came through here for sure. They definitely came through here. Now, whether they camped here on top after the Confederates had already camped here, I don't know. Until I start finding fired stuff, I'm gonna guess and say maybe they just marched through here and this got dropped. If I find more of these, or you know, some other type of Union bullet, then that would let me know for sure whether or not they either camped here or just marched through here chasing the Confederates off, or chasing them further uphill, which is that way. So anyhow, finally got the first Union piece, 3-ringer bullet. Well, after finding the 3-ringer, just, well, right behind me, not far. Actually, just happened to notice there was a tree stand up there. That's what made me pause. I was like, oh, walk right under it, didn't even see it. So anyhow, after finding the 3-ringer right over there, well, we're back on the Confederate stuff. I got another dropped infield. So that's cool. At least we're back on the Confederate stuff. Again, another piece of lead. So, like I said, this is the area where I found the buckle. It was like right over in that area somewhere. With the amount of rain that we've been having here lately, the last few days, I'm sure that old hole is done buried in leaves again. So I'm gonna look around, but hopefully find some more brass out here. Finding this lead, so now it's just time to start finding some brass. Maybe get a buckle or something. But there it is, another dropped infield Confederate bullet. All right, so I got a really good signal here in this hole, and it was down in there a few inches. So I just grabbed a bunch of dirt, threw it right there, and according to the pinpointer, it's in there. But I hadn't dug it out yet. Hopefully, it's not going to be another modern slug. And it's not. We got a drop bullet again. Let's see what it is. We have our second 3-ringer. Yep, second 3-ringer. Again, right here in this flat spot still. So right up here is the water. That's all swamp. don't know if you can see it or not, and I don't know how to zoom in on this GoPro. But yeah, it's all water in there. Of course, like I said, it's been raining for the last few days, so I don't know how far I can get down in there, but I'm gonna head down in that way anyhow, because you never know if they were down there walking around with spurs on, maybe spur got sucked off their boot. How about that? We'll see what we can get next. But how about there? So now we're getting into the Union stuff mixed in with the Confederate stuff, so definitely something was going on right here. A lot of walking, at least walking around minimum. So all right, so we found a couple 3-ringers, so now we're on the Union side of finding things. Got a couple 3-ringer bullets, Union bullets. So what better time, I guess, to talk about one of the commanders that was here for the 15th Corps during this little fighting, campaign over Sherman's army trying to get into Columbia. So one of the key generals for the Union Party, or for the Union Army, was Francis P. Blair. He was from Missouri, and Blair was actually one of the top people who prevented the state of Missouri from being absorbed into the Confederacy. As you know, Missouri was one of the key border states, along with Kentucky and Maryland and so on and so forth. But so they didn't join the Confederacy, they didn't join the Union, but they did have men from both sides, or from the state, that fought for both sides of the war, both for the Union and for the Confederacy. In fact, like I said, Blair, he ended up becoming a major general for the Union Army. But Blair was also a congressman. He was also a state senator. So he stayed pretty active in politics, even after the war. In fact, while he was with the U.S. Army, like I said, he was part of the 15th Corps that came through here. But he did command the 1st Brigade, 4th Division of the 15th Corps, but he also commanded the 2nd Division of the 15th Corps. He was part of the 17th Corps, but I really don't know exactly how all that works on whether or not I don't know that he commanded both, but I do know for a fact he did command the 15th Corps. He then later on went on and was nominated. I know exactly what that is. He went on to later be nominated for, or not nominated, but nominated, I guess. He was running under the, he was running with, sorry, I know I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and try to pronounce it. It's Horatio. I'm sure I'm messing that up, but Seymour was his last name. Anyhow, he was running for presidency in 1868, and he had elected Blair to run as his vice president. Now, they didn't win the election, and a lot of people blame that on Blair, because Blair had some pretty damaging speeches. The reason that they were damaging was, he did, so the speeches were about, the dangers of black emancipation. He did not believe, he was pro-slavery, although he fought for the Union, but he did not believe in the emancipation. He felt that the blacks should stay as slaves, which obviously is the wrong idea, and especially if you're running for political gains, especially back then. Like I said, it was 1868, so it was literally right after 3 years after the war ended. So But yeah, because of that, they do believe he cost Seymour the election for that year. Later on, a couple years later in 1872, however, karma kind of struck Blair in where he had a paralyzing stroke, and 3 years later, 3 years later, after the stroke, he ended up passing away due to medical complications. So, but yeah, that's a little bit about Blair. I'll probably talk about him again some more later on, because he was instrumental in appointing Nathaniel Lyon. And when he did that, he appointed him as the new military commander of the Western Department of the U.S. Army. So when he did that, he assisted Lyon in securing help of the St. Louis Home Guard in moving over 20,000 rifles and muskets for the U.S. Army. Well, got done telling you about this Union General Francis P. Blair Jr. And very next cylinder I got, Williams cleaner, take 3. So that was perfect timing. I kind of wish I'd found it while talking about him, but there she be. So we're getting all kinds of different style of bullets out of here. First two times detected in here, but yeah, got a Williams cleaner now. So how about that? I'll take it, add it to the rest of the ones that I found so far. Okay, so got home after the hunt and cleaned up these the Williams cleaner and the infield bullet. Couldn't think of it. And so what I did find, I had said earlier when I dug up the Williams cleaner that it was the first fired bullet that I had found at this site. In fact, it wasn't. And it wasn't until I cleaned it up that I actually saw. So this Williams cleaner, as you can see here, Type 3 Williams cleaner. If you look, you can see where, let's see if I can get it under some better lighting. So if you look, you can see the rings at the top. Now, what that means is this bullet was actually rammed down into a musket or a rifle. But what I didn't see until after I cleaned it, the bullet was never fired. It actually jammed. And if you look at the tip, and again, we'll get you in some better light. If you look at the tip, you can see there, that's where they had to pull it out. And I'll post a picture of the tool that they had to pull these out with when they jammed. It wasn't just these, it was 3 ringers as well. If any bullet they were using at the time jammed in there, they had to use the same tool. But I just wanted to show you that and thought you'd get a kick out of it. So yeah, it wasn't the first fired bullet, but it looks to be the first loaded bullet that I did find at that location. Well, got us a fired musket ball. A round ball of some sort. Yeah, a musket ball. We keep it. There you go. You can see the flat spot where it hit something. But yeah, a fired musket ball. Now, mind you, I'm out here in the woods. There was never any house out here that I saw anywhere on any map for a very long time. But I don't know. Maybe they had them for certain buildings they built for a camp, but a thorn hub out here in the middle of the woods. And the camp is just what I believe is the camp. One of the camps anyway is just right over that way. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. Is it that it went to something somebody built? Oh, there's some numbers on it? No. I don't know. I get it cleaned up, but it looks like just a regular old brass doorknob. I'm lost for words. I just wasn't expecting to find that out here. Okay, so I just found that doorknob, and it didn't dawn on me. The reason I'm in this section of the woods, so I don't know how well you can see it, but that used to be an old road, and that's what the Confederacy and the Union was using. The bridge that the Confederacy was trying to stop Sherman's troops from crossing is down through there. I don't even know right now if I can get to it. I'm trying like crazy to get to it, but this road was used a lot. In fact, it was one of the main roads to get to Charleston. So chances are, I'm assuming that doorknob probably came off a wagon as they were moving through here at some point, before, during, or after the war. But yeah, that just popped in my head. Okay, so back at the truck for the tailgate wrap up. You saw I was able to dig up some stuff, some lead. That's all I was able to get today. But hey, it's Civil War stuff. That's what we're out here for. Still looking for the battle site so I can start finding some fired stuff. Now that Williams cleaner you saw me dig, that was fired, but that was the only thing fired and of the finds today. So, it just is what it is. I mean, some days you find the brass, some days you don't. At least I ain't get skunked. That's all that matters. I was able to make some content for you guys. And in the meantime, give you some history on General Sinclair and hopefully, you enjoyed that as well. So without further ado, we'll get on to what we found here. So as you saw, I was able to get the dropped infield, and that's a beautiful bullet too. It was in some water, so you could tell it just kept it nice and pristine. Not really sure what that little cutout is there. I don't know if a soldier was cutting on it or what, but that's awful straight for somebody with a pocket knife, so I doubt that's what that was. But I know the shovel didn't hit it, so that's all that mattered. 38 round pistol ball, musket ball. Not sure what this piece of lead was. I'm kind of thinking that was cut off with something, but it's kind of hard to tell. I just kept it just to keep it. Of course, the first bullet of the day, which was at Richmond Labs, Confederate bullet. Love finding these. I don't find enough of them, so anytime I do find one, I really enjoy it. And of course, the Union 3-ringer, and the Williams cleaner. And you could see here, where it was rammed down in the barrel. So it was definitely fired. Plus that disc is pushed up inside. So it was definitely fired, at somebody. But that's it. Man. Tired, hungry, thirsty. Of course, you know me. I'm going to get my Milo tea and here in a minute, and I'm going to probably drink at least half of it before I, take another breath. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show today. Feel free to subscribe to Dixieland History if you did enjoy it. Especially if you enjoy the history lessons. You'll see some stuff, throughout the video talking some history as well, where you got to read it. So hopefully you enjoyed that as well. Anyhow, we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully I'll be getting back out here in the next few days and be able to find some more stuff. Still searching for that battle site. So we'll keep you informed. Until next time, thank you for watching Dixieland History.